Hey everybody, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I'm Connor Cunningham. Welcome back, everyone.
We're here. We're here to talk about things, discovery type things. Specifically today, a spore drive thing, which you brought to my attention, which I'm curious about because I don't quite know where you're going with this. And I'm coming into this cold, guys. I just wanted to let you know.
It's kind of fun to do all these prep work and just be able to throw you. So, and this all stems from a moment which I found, because remember, everything in this sort of content is deliberate. They don't accidentally go to warp and spend the money compositing, getting approvals. Nothing's an accident, right? Unlike unless it's filmed practically, then the guy still appears in Mandalorian or the coffee cup. That's some things, but not CGI stuff especially. So explicitly, and we'll talk about the repercussions of the end of the season, and Gold's guys spoilers, obviously. But at the end of the season, Discovery is tasked with travelling to 7 locations in the same day to deliver dilithium to member worlds, non-member worlds, and just bring the galaxy back. And that is their mission, right? And so obviously first time in the new uniform, so that's one of their first days on the job. And they leave the Space Command bubble, and they don't spore to planets, they go to warp to planets. Given the fact that they need to get everything to everyone immediately, they should spore jump. Given they have stamets and they now have book, and the spore drive is still functional, is that them telling us that something's wrong with the spore drive? Because I do not see any reason why they would go to warp when warp would take days or hours or days rather than the instantaneous spore drive. So I thought that was a really odd thing to do, because they need to go. Why on earth would you go at warp? There you go. That's why I thought the end of the episode.
To generate hope. Because everybody is... Well, they're not... They haven't really been relying on warp as of late. But for Discovery to show up, the Discovery Dilithium delivery service, to show up at warp instead of sporing in, I mean, makes sense. It's kind of a way to boost morale, to show that, yes, we're using warp now. Warp is back. Because you don't want the ship sporing in, dropping off its dilithium, sporing out. It's like, well, that's a cool tech that we don't... What? Oh, we have to rely on this warp thing now. I kind of like that it's just a symbolic gesture. Plus, it's also just dramatic for that last shot. But even that, the sporing would have been as good as...
Yeah, it would have been... I was waiting for spore. But I see what you mean. That is a fair assertion. Don't get me wrong, that works just fine. But if you were a colony, say, 26 days away at warp, because we've already assessed that some of these ships are on 2 to 3 week missions. That was always said in our episode. If you're being told, okay, we need dilithium, we're going to get dilithium in how long? 3 weeks. Oh, would that planet rather have it in 45 minutes after Discovery takes a break to have a cup of tea, or in 3 weeks? And then Discovery's then going to warp to the next planet. So is that planet really going to think the hope factor beats the losing 3 weeks of rebuilding the economy?
They've gone 125 years without it. They can wait 3 weeks.
Why? For the hope? But there's no logical reason to. Just spore in, give it to them.
Just out of one scene, you can't extrapolate there's going to be no warp or no spore jumping in season 4.
But I just found it very odd. Because seven planets is not achievable in one day anyway, so it's a multiple month mission just to travel. But that's the whole point of the ship, is a spore jumping ship. Because then they could redo dozens of worlds potentially in one day. It's totally achievable. But they're not going to do that. They're going to do one planet every 2 or 3 weeks.
But it's not to say that it's like, look, there's dignitaries out on Starfleet headquarters right now watching us. Let's warp out. Let's warp to the next system. Then spore jump, and come back. It was just for dramatic. Like, look, warp. We got the lithium back as a representative of the season. That they're now able to use warp. It was a creative decision, not a in-universe logistical decision. Because now they have 2 people that cannot use the spore jump, so they can actually use it more.
But do you understand where I'm going for here, though? Like, the choice of doing one when the whole point of Discovery, the one unique thing is it can go instantaneous. And imagine, do you really think,
They don't got a certain number of spores, too. Spore canisters. You're not going to waste it if you don't have to. It's going to be for emergency purposes only. So if you can get somewhere in 3 days at warp, I don't know.
But we've been given no sense that spores are limited.
I understand that. Not this season, but we have before, where they had to create a goddamn spore planet, which was never mentioned again.
Yeah, I don't think we can justifiably say they've limited spore.
No, but it's worth bringing up the arguments.
No, again, I do agree, but these are things they didn't say to us. That's why it's an intentional thing. And I just think, if everything's far away, a planet that's maybe even 9 months away, like, is Discovery really going to warp for 9 months to get there, or is that planet never going to get? It's so silly. So is that planet never going to get dilithium? And you're just ignoring it, or wouldn't you actually want Discovery to like spore drive to the edge, like 50 planets first, let them start to rebuild, and now they can travel? But that's not what they've done, obviously. So it's just interesting, And you talk about the dignitaries seeing them. Well, as soon as they go out of the bubble, they can't see them, so that's irrelevant as well. It's a fun point.
They can see them on the view screen. They got external sensors. They can see whatever they want to see.
Yeah, but you see, I'm confused by it. Like, I was intrigued because this might be symbolizing either they've got Stamets on the base because I think it could imply that maybe they're gonna have Book and Stamets on the base working out
Training.
working out how to get more people, because now you've got a organic way of having more people, so we now can have 2 ships if they can replicate it. So maybe Discovery saying, like, we'll take dilithium to the nearest 15 planets for the first 3 months while we're being, because only Stamets can be the guy that trains. He's training Book. Now you got 2 second ship, etc. That could be a good reason. And then, because it just takes away the ability to help most people, because most places are too far away.
It's just a writing conceit. They didn't think about it. It was just something cool for the end of the episode, and I think it sums up the episode, or the season, as does the symbology of getting all the uniforms in the last episode. Also, now we're warping because we have the ability to, we got all this dilithium because we're mining it now. I just think it's a symbolistic thing, and the writers didn't think about it. It was just, to create hope and have that last cool shot. But that being said, it sporing out would have been a last great cool shot as well. Although everybody would have bitched and whined because nobody likes the spore jumps.
But it would have made more sense. But yeah, just want to bring up that I think that may or may not be a hint into season 4 that something else. I'm not saying they've literally not used a spore drive ever, but if you do recall, season 1, spore drive was used for every small thing, and season 2, because the writers understood it's such a stupid technology, they said at the start only use it in extreme circumstances. So they retconned it almost out of the show in the second season, and this season they've actually used it, every time they had to. But they haven't actually gone that many places, considering it's actually been quite limited, at least that we've seen. Although the only way they could have got Zahil is via Discovery, which is then odd because she's surprised, but they would have always have to pick them up.
Well, no, they would have given other ships dilithium. We've heard other ships doing things, so they probably gave some of the dilithium that was from Discovery out to the other ships, and some of the ships went out to set up, or at least man that relay station, start fixing it up, and brought Zahil back.
I mean, it has been, we can argue, probably like 6 to 7 months. I guess that's implying that relay station was important. I mean, I know Discovery, but the thing is, Discovery said we did go to relay stations, but the whole implication was Book has never even been to Earth. Like, it was always too far away. So, but as we said in our review, Discovery has never used distance correctly, ever. Not once. So even understanding what they set up, they've ignored it. I mean, introducing transwarp that's too dangerous and yet they can do it instantly breaks in another concept,
And you look at the beginning of the season, it's the burn. Ooh, travel's restricted. Ooh. But then as the season goes on, it just gets easier and easier and easier. And yes, I know they got the lithium now, but it just, the distances in Discovery just, it's like the Kelvin verse. The distances don't make sense.
Nope, and they don't matter. A to B in the time of the film. And also to clarify, I still wish they'd said at one point, and thank you to Captain Saru for giving the rest of the fleet his dilithium. We've now got enough. We've now brought back 20 more ships.
They need something like that.
Because they did not say he gave dilithium to everyone else. So while we can assume it, we can't say it's canon because it was never established. Because then if there'd been a scene where he'd said, we've now managed to triple our fleet in the course of a month, then you can understand why they've sent other ships. Although, since it was still a limited number of dilithium, you wouldn't necessarily think they would just burn it all in one go. Whereas a planet, you can. That was the whole point. That's like, decades worth of dilithium in one place, so you can just do everything. But yes, Stuart, just a thing I wanted to bring up to talk to you today, see, as it may or may not affect. I do think they're going to have to pull away from Spore Drive a bit in season 4.
Yeah, it's going to be more of an as-needed thing, I think.
Yeah, especially with warp, you would think 31st century or 32nd century warp would be incredible. I mean, the fact that the Vulcans can get from Navarre, Vulcan to wherever the hell we are in less than 2 hours is because Earth to Vulcan is like 3 weeks or is like 7 days at late TNG. So in an hour or two, because we know it takes less than like 4 hours the entire episode, 2 episodes. So Or
Yeah.
8
We
episodes,
also
8 hours.
we also needed a line like that. We're heading somewhere at warp 7. We're going to be there in 3 hours, and somebody turns around. What? Warp 7? That trip should take 2 weeks. Yeah, but that's using your old warp scale. Like, I'm sure there's been warp scale recalculations from TNG to this point as well, right? So, because there was definitely from Discovery era to TNG. So
Yeah, it would have been nice if Stamets or Tig had been like, sorry, you can go how fast at warp? Oh yeah, the warp scale's changed 4 times since your time. So you're saying our warp 9 is your warp 2? Well, yeah. Damn. That would have been a nice scene.
yeah, yeah, something like that would have helped immensely.
But speaking of helping immensely, you can support us via Patreon monthly service, join the channel monthly service, super chat one time or multiple times in our live if you like our lives, and PayPal as well. Boom, Stuart, segue of all segues.
And if you want to join our federation, by all means, hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button as well. It's a good way to let us spore jump to your location instantly to give you information. And make sure you click the notification bell icon so you get notified when we're going to be arriving with the new dilithium, or new videos in this case. That was good. Anyway, guys, put your comments down below what you thought about this, and let us know your thoughts. So until next time, he's Commander Cock.
He's Captain Foley.
And we'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.